Hello, here we are again with Navigating the Unknown. I'm Andrea Stern of SternRep and AskSternRep. I hope you are enjoying these webinars like I am, because I'm so happy to be doing these with the APA LA. I appreciate APA. It's an organization that's a resource and it helps all of us stick together, and we need that. So join APA. Okay. This week, we have our co-host, LA photographer and APA board member, Hugh Kretschmer. Hi, Hugh.
Hi.
And guest senior producer, Emily Hoskins, and creative director, Jason Pierce. I should say Emily is now at Designory in Long Beach, California, and Jason is creative director at Crispin, Porter, and Bogusky in Boulder, Colorado. So let me turn to Hugh first. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Andrea. It's so great to be involved with you on these webinars. This is episode 6. You've provided us with such great information through them, and we're just so appreciative of it. I've been a member of APA for about 2.5 years, and I'm thrilled to be part of this organization that has helped photographers navigate the unknown. I want to also welcome our esteemed guests. Thank you guys so much for coming, and appreciate you spending time with us. We're looking forward to a really good webinar. Now, Andrea, I'll turn it back to you.
All right. So we have 2 spectacular rock star guests joining us. And a big part of them, both of you two, is you are and were and are photographers. So you totally relate to us in a way that's really unique. So thank you so much for being here. So Emily, you're a senior producer now working with clients like Subaru, Nissan, Infiniti. She has been an agent and advocate for photographers and directors on the rep side of the business, and currently applies that experience to her ad agency productions. She has been cartwheeling the finish lines of Ironman triathlons and marathons for the last 10 years, and now has her hopes set on returning to Africa to climb Kilimanjaro as soon as it's safe to travel. Damn, woman.
Wow.
Andrea, I didn't know you were going to read all that. That's a big intro to live up to.
That's all right. That's all right. You got
Mine definitely doesn't live up to it.
Pressure is on, people.
Superwoman.
Jason, creative director, is a Detroit native, music lover, and sneaker snob. He has had lifelong love affair with the art of creative expression. He started his career working with music artists around the US and abroad, which ultimately landed him in the ad world. Over the last 5 years at Crispin, Jason has led a variety of brands, including Infiniti, 1800 Tequila, and Goose Island Beer Company. Before Crispin, he worked at a number of agencies where he focused on clients such as Ford, GM, Walmart, Gatorade, and State Farm. A passionate photographer, Jason received a degree in fine art from Cleveland Institute of Art and lived in Germany while studying design and music. He enjoys the occasional mountain view, but remains a city boy at heart. Page 1. So, hi, you guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Today I'm structuring this with some topics I know that are coming up for all of us. I'm going to tell you what they are, so I'll tell you our mission. What's happening now, what motivates you to choose the photographers you work with, the 2 of you, best marketing for us now, and the future, what we can expect. So bring your questions in, everybody. Please keep writing them. And Hugh, do you want to start with a question to them?
Yeah, this one is
from viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. Where does Jason see the mood of advertising going next? How do clients stay appropriately relevant in promoting their brand?
Coming out with the hard ones, huh?
Yeah, the meaty.
You know, it's a tough but interesting question. I can tell you the thing that I'm excited to see, just kind of based on what we've already seen coming off of COVID, not coming off because we're still in it, but getting into COVID, and then following that up with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think what we're seeing is a need for emotional attachment. And I think it'll be interesting to see how, especially wanting to get back out there and be around your friends and loved ones that you've not been around for so long. I think that we'll see more of that. So the advertisers that will be ahead of the curve will be the ones that can have a quick response time, because we crave more content faster and faster, but also coming off as honest and as approachable as a brand. So I think you'll see more brands, at least the successful ones, feel more human, I think.
So you kind of getting them at their heartstrings, right? In a sense, it sounds like.
Yeah, but it has to be real. It can't be BS, you know.
Forced, yeah.
Well, while you're talking about that, is there something photographers can do right now to prep for that, or get themselves more available to get those kind of jobs? I guess shoot that kind of heartwarming real. Anything else, you guys? Any advice for photographers to get into that?
I think, again, going back to this time, it has all forced us to be still and to really be aware of our surroundings, aware of how people are feeling around you, aware of how you are feeling. And I think as artists and as photographers, it's already in us. Like, there is, like, what we do for business is different than what we do as just humans when we shoot or when we draw or make music. And I think right now, at least my photographer friends have been doing a lot of their personal projects, whether it's like finding plateware from your cabinet and doing, you know, minimalist studies and things like that. So I've been super interested in seeing that kind of thing, because it feels like there's a little bit more of a connection between me and your vision. And then as a professional, I'm looking for how do we bring that into what we do as professionals. So I like seeing photographers kind of get back to their roots of just self-expression, so to speak. I think is really cool, and leads us to some unexpected things. I've been enjoying it.
I think what Jason is saying with creating in place kind of extends to like the community you're in. And just like Jason's seeing photographers create work in their homes with what they have, I've been seeing super exciting, super authentic, honest work that's coming from the communities that those photographers live in, whether it's from a business that's making an impact, from an individual that's making an impact, from a community organized, anything making an impact. And the stories and the visuals around that are resonating with me for sure, are resonating with those people in that community, are kind of, it's a call to action in a way that is motivating and in like a community grassroots kind of way that I haven't seen before. But that is the authentic voice that's coming through now.
There's no client.
What do you mean?
There's no client. You're just you're grabbing your camera and you're shooting.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty pure.
That is so good.
Yeah.
So good. It just warms my heart, and I mean it. Okay, so what's happening right now as far as jobs? Where are we at this moment?
We got a few popping off over here. They'll be the first few out of the gate, hopefully. And I think since we've been working from home, since we've had those stay-at-home mandates, we've been heavy on CG work, retouching, reusing existing assets, but these will be the first couple projects out of the gate. And I was talking before about how we're just being very risk averse, trying to just do one step at a time and communicating those expectations for pre-production, for production, for post-production, and that those expectations might be changing every day.
Expectations from the client?
Expectations for what that job is supposed to look like in this current landscape, right? There's a little more paperwork we have to go through. There's a little more assurances that we have to communicate. So there's backup plans for everything from the director to our post-production team. There's a ton of what ifs and a ton of plan Bs if those what ifs come into play.
Wow. Jason, what's happening with you right now?
Similar. If I didn't realize it before, I certainly realize it now that the producers are superheroes. The amount of hoops that you have to jump through just to get to production in this climate is not something I can wrap my head around completely, but they seem to, at least my team has seemed to have been doing a great job of it. But you know, the rules change every day. The messaging changes every day, which is, you know, hard on our team. But it is kind of interesting seeing how we've had to reapproach production. I just had my first shoot via Zoom, and it was probably the first time in my career I had not scouted a location, you know, without physically being there, and that was kind of strange. But it's, I mean, we're in a similar boat, but what is cool about it is that we're seeing there's this encouragement to be creative with how we approach production with the tools that we have. We just came out of a meeting in a town hall meeting in our agency, and I got to see some Domino's work that has come out, and it's a perfect example of that, where it's just using the tools that you have to solve client problems.
Tools that you have, meaning the photographer's tools that they have?
It's a combination. It could be the tools that the photographer has. It could be the tools that you have, which in this case was, you know, our own creative director's family and house, you know, to use for talent and the location. It's just, it can be anything. It feels like everything is fair game. Whatever gets us to the finish line of producing something that you can be proud of, is what everyone is looking for.
And whatever you have,
tools, everything you have.
It's so unheard of in our pre-COVID life. Imagine that, shooting the creative director at his house.
Situational dependent. Like, what does the photographer have within arm's reach? Can we grab that thing? I think that extends to like crew members, production, of course, as well. If you're in a situation where you can have a crew member or two on set, they're going to be pulling out their PA skills. They're going to be pulling out their steam and wardrobe skills. They're going to be pulling out all kinds of things that weren't usually a responsibility for them.
Right.
Yeah, I hear this a lot. Well, before I jump ahead of myself, I'm going to get to this question. I hear a lot about photographers needing to be nimble. That's what we're talking about, small footprint production. And I know this was happening before COVID started, and we were shooting so much more and the budgets were going down. Do you see this changing as far as a photographer needing to do everything and the amount of shots and the budget? Like, how has this changed production as we know it?
You want to go first, Emily?
I know. And you kind of said some of this, yeah.
I mean, everyone's going to have to like wear different hats, right? So pull out some skills, brush up those things off that you learned in photo school, that you learned in art school, that you learned wherever that got you to this place that you love being and love creating. But I think in the end, we'll land somewhere in the middle. I was talking to somebody else who agreed that the pace that we were moving at previously was not really sustainable, and this was a forced slowdown. And I don't think everything that we're putting into place now will be what moves us into the future, but I think we will take a lot of the technology and the digital collaboration into whatever the future of production looks like. I don't think it'll be this forever, but we'll take a lot of what we're learning now and push it forward into what's next. What do you think, Jason?
I'm very curious to see how it shakes out once we get back to normal. You know, budgets are getting cut, but the demand for content is not going down. I am the guy that wants every single shot, whether it's a part of the original story or not. The reason why I get excited with that approach is because you invite happy mistakes. It's one thing to come into a shoot with something in your head. It is a completely different thing to come out of it with something that you never thought of. And so I'm very much on team capture as much content as possible, because you never know how that's going to set you up for future success. Like in this case, we were in a situation where actually we worked with Designory on the project, and our approach to that production allowed for us to capture as much content as possible. To now, fast forward a year later, we're using that content in ways we had never even imagined because we can't go out to shoot. So if there are any photographers out there that I haven't worked with yet that are listening, just know that if you work with me, I'm definitely trying to squeeze every single shot out of you as possible. But I think that's what photographers want also.
Do photographers, they have to do more? Like I rep a couple that also do video. One is also a drone pilot. Do you want the photographer to do everything, like motion included with stills?
I mean,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, I want the photographer to do what he or she is excited about, what he or she is great at. I think we have to be careful with trying to force creatives into this mini hat situation, because there is such thing as a master of none, but I want to work with the person that is great at everything that they do, and not feeling like they have to be a drone pilot. If you don't want to be a drone pilot, don't.
But have the solution when the job calls for it. You don't have to operate that drone, but get the guy that loves being a drone pilot on that job. If you are a photographer that doesn't do video or aren't comfortable doing video, find a video solution in the way of a DP. If you're a photographer that's not comfortable flying a drone, get your drone pilot. Just have the solution built in.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as, the way I work is hiring an expert to do an expert's job, and it's going to make such a big difference when I hire an expert at doing this particular thing that I may have some experience in, but not enough.
Right.
I know photographers are really scrambling to figure out solutions for you all and be more efficient for all of you and collaborate more with you. Do you find this really helpful and you need this from photographers right now? And any specifics as far as what photographers can be offering that you might be looking for?
I
It's
think
what
that
I was saying about kind of creating in place. You have to know what they're able to do with what they have now. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just resourcefulness. The burden shouldn't be on the photographer to figure out how to solve all of the problems. I think the burden is on the relationship and how we collaborate together to identify the problems and solve them. I think what I'm looking for is more so that collaboration. But yeah, for sure, a good starting point is the person that can kind of be resourceful, problem solve on the fly even, and kind of come to the table with things that we haven't thought of or foreseen as problems that could arise.
There's a question from on this subject from our audience members, if that's okay to ask.
Yeah,
it.
please.
For photographers who can already multitask, wear multiple hats on set, how can we bring that to agents and producers to say, hey, I have the tools and the skills to work efficiently in this climate? Example, I've done a brand shoot where I casted the models, location scouting, built the set, directed, and photographed a shoot. And that's the end of that question. But, what do you say
So
about
how can they bring that to
Yeah.
you guys, potential clients?
I mean,
Have
that's a
you seen any?
solutions-oriented piece of marketing. I think it's totally appropriate.
how many like capabilities and resources emails are you getting from photographers now who say, this is what I can do? This is what I have. This is what I can do.
All of them.
Yeah.
So few of them are not related to what I can do for you in this moment now. Or maybe I just ignore those ones. But if there's solutions specific to my problems, I'm reading it. And not only, so now more than ever, that digital marketing, that email marketing is relevant. Because what am I gonna do? Get your promo at the office? No.
No.
So those emails now are not only like helping me understand what's possible now in this current climate, but I've been sharing it with creatives. Jason, tell me if you get the same kind of thing, so they can sort of wrap their mind around what photographers are doing, so they can concept ideas that are relevant, that are possible, that have legs outside of what we used to be doing. And now creatives are like, hey, do you have any more of those? Hey, what is this person doing? Hey, can you just forward me those when you get them? Because I'm trying to come up with an idea that I don't know my limitations anymore.
Yeah, I think the more focused on the client, the rep or photographer can be, the better. So like, yeah, we get a ton of emails from reps and photographers and et cetera that kind of says what they're up to. But I think that just always feels like an email blast. But if you are contacting me because you know that I work on an automotive account and you have a solution to a problem that you know exists right now for automotive, like not being able to shoot with a crew more than 4 at a location, and how you get the vehicle to the location, all of those things. I'm sure different clients have different problems that is preventing them from getting to production. And I think if you reach out to art buyers and creatives with solutions to those things, it feels more like you've given that some thought. And I think that skyrockets you to the top of the list, because you've solved a question that our team has been talking about.
But how important is it to have case studies in that information, when they're providing that information for you? Saying it is one thing, but showing evidence of it is something else.
I think it is something else, but given that I would say that no one here has been through a global pandemic before, I would say there is some liberty to just throw it out there. Half the stuff that I come up with in this climate, I don't know if it's going to work or not. So I think it's a learning experience for everybody. There are a few people that have shot in here, but I'm not looking for someone that has already done it necessarily. I'm looking for the possibility and a way to do it.
That's great.
I worry more like photographers who just do lifestyle. Do you guys have any advice? Like, what should they be doing?
Shooting.
Really though? I mean, so different. Should they be shooting just what we need right now and showing you what pertains to right now? Because some of their books don't look like right now.
Going back to what Jason was saying about it being authentic and relevant and current, lifestyle is still happening now. It doesn't look like 10 friends on the beach.
Right.
But there is.
Yeah. I think it's, we're all trying to figure out how to do the right thing. The thing that has been helpful for me is trying to figure out how it's daunting when you think about it, like just how do you do the right thing, what is the right thing and how are people, but what has helped me is trying to distill what I think is the right thing and the best thing to do in my lane, in my swim lane. So I think if you're a lifestyle photographer, no one knows that craft better than you do. So you can totally reinterpret or interpret what's relevant as a lifestyle photographer right now. I mean, no,
Yeah.
who's better? Who's a better judge of that than you? There's a photographer who I love from a clothing brand that I love. I didn't mean to say love. I still love. That I reached out to, and I just threw out some ideas like, hey, I'm a big fan of everything that you guys do. Your catalogs are always super dope. Here are just some thoughts. Do with it what you will. And I think what happens with that is that you open the gate to collaborate. I don't know if I'll ever work with this person, but that's not the point. It's just the sharing of the ideas.
So photographers could be doing that with you as well. The same thing. Right.
For sure.
I like that. I'm going to jump into choosing photographers. Like, how do you mostly, what stands out to you? You're looking at a portfolio and you're like, I want to work with that person. Anything you can explain to us?
First, is it good?
Well enough to say that. If it applies to me, I'm going to look at it. If it's the thing that I want to see, if you know that I work on an automotive brand and you have cars in your portfolio, I want to see it. Up top, if it applies to what I'm working on, I want to see it, I want to share it.
I tend to think a little agnostic to what I'm working on because I love photography. So I never stop looking at who's doing what and who's out there. So I think what I'm looking for is just a good eye, like, you know, a way of thinking. And how are you looking at, are you doing something in a way that feels different and feels exciting? Do I just want to get to know you based on your work? I think those are the kind of things that I'm looking for. It's just, I mean, it is a business, but it's also, I think you get the best work and the best partnerships when you're judging the work based on being able to feel that this person is excited about what they're shooting. And that's what I'm looking for in the
authentic
work.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah.
What makes you choose? Like, is there any experience you've had that made you really decide you're bidding 3 photographers, you want this one, and at the same time, is there any experience you've had that be like, I'm not going to choose this one? Anything you could care to share?
I think anytime a photographer presents an idea that elevates the creative is impressive. Usually that happens on a creative call. After agency has been talking about this idea for months and months and months and getting knocked down and built back up and knocked down and built back up, to talk to someone who has a fresh perspective on this idea could be really refreshing, especially when you asked if there was something specific that they could bring. And I had an example of a photographer who was on a creative call, and we were talking about dozens of talent kind of walking through a crowd trying to make it authentic, and we were worried about people bumping into one another, and we weren't exactly sure how to suss that out. And we were just like, they're adults, they'll figure it out. And the photographer had a great idea, which was, why don't we get a choreographer to help these dozens of talent navigate a crowd, make it look authentic, and so no one's like knocking shoulders and we have to reset and do it over and over again. We quickly came to learn that photographer had a history in dance and choreography. So it was an obvious solution for him, but not something that we had thought of. Seems a little elementary. We were like, oh, cool, great idea. Why didn't we think of that? And it was something that was such a creative problem solve that he brought from his experience outside of photography to our problem, and it made it a very easy decision.
I've definitely heard of that, where bidding on a job and photographers go above and beyond and offer you something maybe you don't expect, and that really speaks volumes.
It really
Jason,
does.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Emily just pointed out. You know, the thing about the call is everyone loves your idea, because that's the thing. Like you want to land the job. So I think some people kind of feel like they have to do the dance. That's not the thing that I think makes the best work, or the thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for exactly what Emily said. The how do you take the idea to the next level? How do you inject your worldview and your aesthetic and your philosophy on the idea into it to make it your own and to make it better? And I think those are the things. Looking at a book is one thing, but on the call, you can sense that true love for the idea and what it could be, not necessarily the thing that we're discussing on the phone. So I'm always looking for someone that's gonna take it further, and we have a great time doing it together.
On a call, I think it does get confusing for photographers when to speak. Should they interrupt you? Should they wait for you to stop? Should they wait for you to ask?
I usually don't want to talk on the call, because by the time I'm talking to the photographer, I've done all the talking. I'm tired of talking about the idea. It's a breath of fresh air to hear the photographer talk about what they. I honestly don't feel like I need to say anything on the call. I would love to hear
we're
from you.
going through the shot list, right? Do you want them to break into that at that part? Is there a certain time? Emily, what do you think?
Yeah, if they're enthusiastic about it and they have something to say about it, yeah, by all means, interrupt with something positive, interrupt with a critique, interrupt with a question. Jason doesn't want to be talking the whole time. Give him a challenge. Talk about something else besides reading off the storyboards or the asset list or whatever he's been reading off of for 3 months.
Right.
Well, I think photographers are a little nervous about it, because what if they give you their idea and you're like, no? Will that blow it for them?
Does the idea suck? I don't know. I mean,
It's not the
No,
idea
it
you were
shouldn't.
looking for. It doesn't ring
shouldn't.
for you.
I don't think so, because you've picked this person for that reason. And I don't know, like, out of the 100 ideas that I have, 99% of them aren't good. I think that's just the nature of what we do. But the willingness to discuss ideas is always good. I would prefer you throw out your ideas than not. And if it's the relationship. The burden isn't totally on you to have the good idea. The burden is on the relationship. So if you throw out a bad idea, or first of all, what's a bad idea? But if you throw out an idea that I don't like, it may inspire something in me, and now you have dialogue. And I think that's the thing that you want. You want to discuss ideas. You always want to discuss ideas. That's the only way you get to the thing better than either of you had imagined. So I don't mind it.
And it shows that collaboration, right?
Yeah.
The collaboration that you want with the person you hire.
Right.
Yeah. How important? So we have the portfolio, the creative call, and the treatment. Like, is there a certain percentage of which one really makes you choose the photographer to work with?
I mean, I think it's reputation first, all that next, in that order.
That's great. That's a great answer, actually. I never thought about that. Because you do ask, oh, you work with so-and-so, what is he or she like? That answer drives a lot of the rest of the process.
I was just on a call yesterday where we were bidding some director that one team had worked with, but the other team didn't, and they took it upon themselves to call up the creative directors on the other team and be like, what was that all about? And it was really good. It was really positive feedback, but it was a, what did you think about this? What did you think about what happened here? What was the collaboration like? When things went sideways, what was their problem solving like? And it was a great build up for the other team that hadn't worked with that director before.
Yeah.
Who had a good experience. And that could,
naturally.
Jason calls creative directors that are at his agency and are not at his agency, just like I call producers that are sitting next to me when we're in the office, and I call them when I need advice.
Yeah.
And you know what? Clients do it too. I've gotten calls from client friends that I don't work with that have asked me about certain photographers. Oh, I saw that you did this. What was your experience? What did you think of that person? So yeah, I think the reputation is huge. We do naturally ask about other people.
What about treatments? I'm sorry.
The treatment. I was just gonna say that the treatment
Oh yeah.
is important to me. I know that it's different for different types of creatives. For me, the treatment is kind of a turning point in the entire process, because obviously we like your work. What the treatment does for me, and the thing that I'm looking for in the treatment, is your reaction and your thinking and what you want to bring to the idea. And those photographers kind of fall into two camps. You have the one camp that wants to deliver exactly what you asked for, because I really want to get this job. And you have the other camp that's like, I like that, but we could elevate it. And personally, I always kind of err toward the elevating of the idea. So I like to see treatments that imagine the thing in ways that I haven't.
Oh, that's huge.
Emily, what about you as far as treatments? What makes a great treatment?
Well designed. I want to look at it.
Mm.
I don't know how many people stick around for the words, but if there's some good pictures in there, you got me.
I'm in.
That's good. So we should hire designers?
Yeah, know your audience. You're sending it to creatives. They're not gonna. I'm just kidding.
They're not gonna read it.
It's hard to read something that doesn't look good. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I know photographers are a little hesitant, and this is why. I don't know if you guys know this, but they don't want to reveal their thoughts if they might not get the job. They're sometimes afraid that you're going to go use them with someone else. Like, if you want to hire me, you'll get my ideas. What do you speak to that? What do you say to that?
First of all, it's shitty when people take ideas from treatments and pitches and apply them to someone else that they probably would rather work with. That's an ethics question. I'm an ethical person, so I would never do that. I mean, the naive side of me would always encourage throwing your best self into the ring and relying on that. And if you don't get it, so what? You'll get the next thing. I don't know. I'm always more interested in hearing what you bring to the table, and to me, that's the thing that gets you over the top. So I would never not share.
Should COVID safety precautions be in the treatment? How we're going to deal with that and shoot remotely and all of that be in the treatment?
I mean, if they're not in the treatment, they have to be its own separate deck, because agency and client and cost consultant are going to require it. So if you attach it to the treatment, or if it's a separate idea altogether, it's got to be in there somewhere.
Okay. I don't want to lose out our time for marketing, so I'm going to ask one more question and then jump to marketing. Does lowest bid, Emily, help photographers get the job sometimes?
Yeah, it depends on the client. Sometimes we're required to go with lowest bid depending on what the client relationship is. Not necessarily. Sometimes we have direct access to client and can talk about the value applied to their experience over numbers or whatever to justify why it's $3,000 more.
Right. Does any bidding tips that you can give us today?
Put your best foot forward. ask questions for things that you're assuming will or won't be a part of that estimate, because sometimes we can provide things, sometimes client can provide things that don't necessarily get addressed on the call. And everything that, as you're going through that estimate, when you've got questions on, oh, we didn't talk about that one piece of talent wardrobe that we forgot to address that might be really expensive, hit me up.
Okay.
Afterwards, ask the question, and if, I always say this on calls, if I don't have the answer, I'll go back to creative and get the answer.
That's
Do we want
so
to take
true.
one question from the audience real quick?
I want to ask one more question on estimate, and that, Emily, I've asked my last webinar, and I basically did not get an answer, but maybe I'm going to keep asking this. Emily, what are the fees range? Can you tell us where we kind of need to be with the fees?
I think that's such a no. But I think that's such a general question, and it depends on so many things, what the usage is and who the photographer is and what their pedigree is, what their experience is, where it's living in the world. I started, I used to work at a magazine, and there were day rates of like $300 a day. And I was a agent for some really incredible commercial photographers, and there were triple digits. So it is like all over the place, and none of that was happening now, but that was like when I started, and somewhere in the middle. I think it's all over the place.
So when you say now, would it be lower now?
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be an editorial rate, but it depends on the project, your experience, and like your market value. How much?
Okay, I know.
How many projects can you decline?
True. I know I could talk about this topic forever, but Hugh, you were going to ask a question. I just
Yeah.
stopped talking about it.
This is from, I think, a newer photographer. He's asking, how do, I don't have the reputation yet. How do I get into the door? How do you do it? Is it the work? Is it the delivery? What do you guys think?
And physically, how do they get in with you? Should they email you? Should they? I don't think we can call.
I'm gonna put APA on blast, and every time they do a portfolio review, every time they have a community, anything, show up, introduce yourself, talk to everybody.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Jason, what about you? How should people get in touch with you? What works?
I think when you kind of have to know your audience. If you're contacting an art buyer via their email, actually, I won't speak for art buyers. I'll just speak for myself. If you're trying to contact me via email, via work email, the assumption is I get a lot of those. So there's a chance that I'm gonna miss that email. Also, I'm terrible at email. My job is to be out and create. So I would say, think of the creative spaces where you know your art directors, know your creative directors, know the people that you would like to work with, and find other ways to get in touch with them. I'm always following photographers, but I think it would be kind of interesting if photographers also did the same. Like look for your favorite creatives in the business and reach out to them and share work, talk about things that you've liked that they've done. But I think what will happen is you will build a relationship, and this is a relationship business. When I first got out of college, I didn't understand why I got so many rejections with the same feedback. Really loved your work. It was because I didn't have the relationships. And when you started, when I finally got the one relationship that gave me my break, things turned out to be different. So work is part of it. You have to be good, but also people have to like you and want to work with you, and just look for those people in unexpected places. Is
Instagram very important, do you think, for marketing?
I mean, it's a visual platform, more likely than not, the people that you want to reach out to are on that platform to look at stuff. So that seems like a natural place for photographers, at least in my mind, to start to reach out to people.
I have a lot of questions about this, and I just don't want to forget. Emily, I was going to ask you, how should a photographer protect themselves on an estimate? Any answer, especially today?
And what would job canceled or postponed?
Yes. And payments, maybe? Because, you know, it could become an issue.
We've had a couple jobs cancel, one going through insurance. And in reaction to that, I mean, I would say require an advance. And we have been talking about doing a rolling award, which is just kind of identifying maybe a tiered approach to financing a project, which doesn't necessarily require like the advance and then the wrap, but maybe more like do the first third, whatever that signifies, clear it, and before you move on, you get the second and then the third.
So that protects us. If something happens, we're not.
It's the client too, yeah. It kind of just like tiers out the project in chunks. In theory, it could work. In practice, I haven't seen it play out
yet. Hugh, I remember we got an insurance question. Emily's a great one to ask. Do we have that?
Let me see.
What type of insurance do we,
Right.
should we have? Or who pays for COVID insurance? Is there COVID insurance right now?
No.
Can
Any
you
other
talk
ways
about the necessity of OSHA certification? You know, is that something related to that?
I don't think it's related to insurance. Insurance isn't requiring someone be OSHA certified, but I do know that you should be having like a security officer on set to enforce those rules that you've put together in your COVID safety protocols document. That is required. If you don't enforce them, I mean, what's the point? So whether it's an OSHA certified personnel on the shoot or someone there to responsibly enforce those rules, to just remind everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump back to marketing. I had to get that with you, Emily. Can you give us any advice? Like, what grabs your attention? I know we talk about being human and authentic and relate, Jason, what you were saying, what you're working on, like a real conversation. Treat you as a person. Any other advice for us? Like, I know I do email promos. They're not opened by everybody, but it just hit a lot of people. Is there something that works for you guys that you can share with us?
Being well designed off the bat will make me read it. Like, Andrea, you sent out that promo right when all of this create in place, produce in place madness went down, and we were looking for photographers who could do certain things. And your promo was like, here's who I have, here's what they can create, here's the dynamic in which it was created. And that, back to our point, like, do you need to have made that work already? Those people hadn't necessarily made that work, but you applied very small crew jobs to this promo and said, we could apply this to the kinds of things that you're looking for now. And that broke it down from photographer to photographer and what they could offer. And I think that's just a good way to wrap your head around what's possible. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Was that an email promo or was it?
Yeah, email promo.
All right.
Jason, do you open email promos?
Sometimes, mostly when they're visual, or I recognize a name of a photographer in it. Oh, what are they up to? But also, you know, you guys are combating like spam filters, and these spam filters within organizations are getting stronger and stronger. I think sometimes I don't get emails that I'm supposed to get that are, you know, a part of, like, from a client or whatever. But I think when things are visual, and there's that immediacy. So when I see something visual, I tend to look at it, especially if it's good and engaging.
And
But
right now, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I would say that it's not the best way though to
Yeah, what is the
I want to
best
know
way?
that.
I
All
think
ears,
it's through
Jason.
I think it's through social. You know, I like I said, Instagram is a platform that's natural to photographers, and that's where I would start. You know,
So does that mean
Insta story or feed? Post
either
feed or either.
either. I think it depends on. I mean, it depends on what it depends on what you're trying to the point that you're trying to get across. That I would say determines whether it's a story or feed. But at least you know that it's visual and I'm there. You know, I'm
Yeah.
on Instagram.
The most organic way to promote yourself, because you don't have to send it to anyone. They're coming to you. What a great way to promote yourself when they want to see your content.
So how would you guys respond if someone's approaching you directly through Instagram messaging saying, look, Jason, I've got this project. You want to take a look at it? It's on my feed. I mean, does that happen? Do you guys get things like that?
I don't. From my experience, what I get is it's just conversation around something that you like. I don't think that's where you do the hard sell. You wouldn't want to turn someone's social into an email blast. You don't want me to feel that way when
Yeah.
you're reaching out to me, or even when I get on Instagram. But I think it is for sure a place to just kind of share things that you've shot, and just kind of establish the relationship at least. I think it's a fine line. I think when you start to get into check out this project that I've worked on, would love to work with. I don't know. That's something that you have to kind of feel your way through as you do it. But I would definitely say social is the place where you keep it friendly and not heavy on the business side.
Emily, you agree?
Yeah, I co-sign everything Jason just said.
I always think of it like Insta stories are the human side. Be really human, be really yourself. So people like you, our clients, can get to know you as a person, versus the feed I see more as a portfolio. Does that ring true? Or
Use the feed as not a duplication of your portfolio, but as an insight to your sensibilities as a photographer.
an Insta story?
Portfolio tends to be finished work, and that can live on your website, and that can live on what I know creatives are looking for, and maybe what Jason is looking for is like an insight to what you like, your sensibilities, and something that will connect you on a human level, interest level.
Yep.
Is Insta stories different than the feed for you guys? No.
I mean, I look at both.
Yeah. I know we, yeah.
Oh, well, I wanted to get one more question from our audience in, if that's
Yes,
okay.
yes.
This
Yes,
is
yes, yes.
Emily. It's from Paul Bashan.
Who I rep.
I hope I am pronouncing his name. Sorry, Paul, if I didn't.
Paul Barshawn, yes.
Okay, our producers are an essential crew member on shoots. From a personal perspective, would you miss being on set? And do you foresee a time will come when you will be back on set? And do you see the future as being one able to attend remotely?
Hi, Paul. I knew he was going to slide in here. I hope that not only producers, but all of our crew and agency can get back to set, because that's a fun place to be. It's a collaborative, creative environment. And yeah, I want to go back. I think everyone wants to go back. I think if we are responsible now, then we will have the possibility to do so in the future.
Yeah. Good.
I want to jump into future because I'd love to know. I know Emily has to leave in 5 minutes, so we got to talk quickly. What do you think is the future of ad agencies, and any advice for what we can be prepared for the trend of the future? Do you guys see anything that we should start incorporating into our business minds now? Creatively?
I don't know if I have an answer really for the second one, but for the first part of your question, actually, maybe this does relate to the second part of your question. I think the future is more content, more like create more and more and more. And that is something that we see a lot of internally, where it's like, how much can you make? Because that's where that's the whole point of everything that we do, is to make stuff. And sometimes we fall into the trap of talking about making stuff and not actually getting to the making of stuff. So I think there's a lot of pressure on just internally, and then pressure from clients to how much content can we create. So then what happens in terms of how we approach production is, how does the production lend itself to solving that problem? And then also, which is this part is my favorite, what is the aesthetic output of that? When you're on production, you're trying to shoot as much as you possibly can. That affects the output of what you're shooting. And that's the thing that I like. I like that we're not being so precious and setting up and composing every single thing. We're a little bit more off the cuff and allowing for accidents to happen. And I think when you approach the production that way, the work feels a lot more authentic, which is where I think the future in what we're doing, we're going to see more of authenticity. Does it feel real? So that that's the thing that I think is kind of the sweet spot right now. I mean, you're seeing it with the Black Lives Matter march and the photos that are coming back from that, with all of the protests and stuff. It's a very visceral, photojournalistic kind of thing. And I think a lot of what we're seeing right now is going to fuel the next sort of aesthetic
Look, yeah.
that brands adopt.
Emily, what do you think?
I agree, and I was going to say that everything Jason was describing about pushing days so much so that you get happy mistakes gives me deep anxiety as a producer. But I agree, the best things happen that are a little, and it creates, when you fill your day like a lot of content, and this is a less sexy add-on to that, is that inside of our agency, we're trying to take on a lot of that internally, just creating content on the inside. And what does that look like from storytellers inside of our agency? And it's very elementary right now, but creating content quickly and affordably is something that we're always trying to solve.
When you say you're trying to do that in the agency, what do you mean? You guys are shooting?
I have a photography degree, so sometimes I pick up a camera
and
small car pieces that have to get stripped and do like a photo somewhere else. But that, I mean, I'm not even, we're working from home, but I came into the office to get a package and I'm sitting in our little photo studio. So with one light, I can just do something, or someone in the agency can pick up a camera and shoot it. And it's just a super small problem solve.
Emily, it's 1 o'clock, but I have one quick question for you. Is that okay?
Of course.
Of course, I got to push because I'm a rep. That's what I do. Okay. How do you see this time changing the photographer's business as we know it? How do we,
hopefully it pushes photographers and creatives to come together much sooner on those ideas, whatever they're concepting, right? If Jason has these photographers that he's worked with or new ones that he hasn't, hopefully those collaborations happen at an earlier stage, maybe not after the job has been completely approved by client and the budget has been assigned, and then we hand it off to a vendor. But maybe in those really hard concept calls where nothing's working, you pull in a photographer that you can collaborate on. I mean, that opens us up to a whole other issue about like, what if you don't use that photographer? I don't know about that yet, but I would imagine creatives and photographers would have an opportunity to collaborate much sooner with all of this.
And that certainly increases your chances of working together again. Because you know that creative now feels comfortable with talking to you about ideas. That may not lead to the next job, but it will definitely lead to a job.
Like opening the door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I personally love that answer. I really do. And that's encouraging for me to have that ability to get in there early and talk. I love that.
Yeah.
Emily, do we have to, yeah, go. You talk, Emily. Talk.
Yeah, keep talking.
Keep talking.
Ooh.
I was going to say to Hugh that I think it's important, and it helps us identify what's possible.
Yeah.
Early on. I always rely on photographers and producers to gut check me on the realities of these big ideas that I think are possible, and if that can happen sooner, the better.
Yeah. Love it. Emily, do we have to let you go, or should I?
Yeah, I don't want to go, but I have to go.
Bummer.
Thank you.
Jason, stay.
Just stay for a bit.
Hugh, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Emily.
Emily.
I mean, APA, I've participated in Chicago. I participate in LA. I think it's such a great platform. Jason, I'll see you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Bye, Emily.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Emily.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you. Your time. So I'll talk quickly. Are you looking for something different in photographers right now as far as their attitude? Like, how should we all see what's going on right now and deal with it within our business, our work, our portfolios, our marketing?
No, I wouldn't say that I'm looking for anything different. What I'm looking for is always the same. It's just, being absolutely true to yourself and to your craft. And I think that when you are that, that shines above all else. It feels a little false when you try to adapt in a way where you feel like you're responding to something that you're pressured. And I don't think I'm looking for that in photographers. I'm looking for the same thing that I'm always looking for, your interpretation.
Should ask this a little differently, because I hear what you're saying, of course, and I also feel like we are all stopped in our tracks by what's going on with COVID, with Black Lives Matter. I, for one, don't know what to do or how to deal with all the feelings I'm having about all of it. Like, how do we take what's happening now in our business and grow with it, evolve? Any advice for us? Where to take this?
I mean, in terms of, well, which part? In terms of the COVID part or in terms of the Black Lives Matter part? Because I think my answer is different. So,
both.
Like,
okay.
In terms of, I'll talk about the Black Lives Matter part. I think as photographers, like I said, like we capture the world that is around us. And I think that with art within our industry, there's a certain way that we curate that world to portray this world how a client wants to portray it or a brand wants to portray it that might not necessarily be how you want to portray it. What I'm hoping and what I'm advocating is that this time that we're in now, specifically to Black Lives Matter, is that we open the world, that we open what we're choosing to see in the world. And then we are a little bit more open to the experiences that might not be our own. Now, I do think that photographers naturally already do that, but I don't think that the business that we do allows us to always express that. So I think it's kind of our job as I'll just say image makers, that we are always conscious of the image that we are portraying. And I would like to see a lot more inclusion and a lot more positivity with the way that Black people are portrayed in media and within our industry, and the frequency. But I think that at least among my friend group of photographers, I am seeing that. But I think getting the industry to move slightly differently is going to be a much bigger task. But I think that's on us also to push.
How do we push that?
By pushing.
Ah.
But do you think
you don't push it when you don't? It's impossible to push it when you don't push. When you don't say the thing that is in your head, but you're afraid that you might not get that job or you might make someone uncomfortable. That's not pushing. But I think and I found myself in that situation plenty more times than I'm comfortable with saying over the last 3 weeks. But I think when you speak up, and that means you're being true to yourself and you're not trying to say what you think you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
If you have a camera in your hand, I think you lose that right. You are capturing, you are supposed to capture what resonates with you, and no one should take that away from you.
Hugh, were you going to say something?
He answered the question.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that, Jason.
Yeah, really.
No problem.
Oh, do you, Jason, any final words of wisdom or anything else you care to share with us that maybe we didn't bring up or talk about?
If I had anything remotely wise to say, I probably just said it. So I'm just going to drop the mic on that.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything. This was really great. I think you guys are doing a great thing, and I'm excited to join the next one. And yeah, I mean, I love you all.
Oh, we love you. I'm going to ask one more personal final question, as I like to do at the end of these. Is there something you want to learn from this time? Something you personally in your own personal life want to take from this time?
I think it's kind of what I've probably said in different ways on the different questions. I think this time has really been about stillness in a way, and really kind of observing your surroundings, how you feel about your surroundings, and how you feel about yourself. And I think that when you do that, when I've done that during this time, I've been reminded of the things that are the most important to me that I've probably forgotten in just the day-to-day of doing business. And I think I've been very grateful for this time just on that fact alone. And there's been a lot of negative around us, but I always try to see the positive in the negative, and that may be just the product of how I was raised and the or where I grew up. But the positive has been, you know, what can I take from this and how can I move forward? So I've been very grateful for this time, just realizing that.
God, you just said what I was gonna try to put into words the way you did.
Yeah, me too. It's the same thing.
One more thing I could say to that, exactly what you said. I noticed about myself that I get so into, are we getting that job? How's that treatment from the photographer? All these little pieces of the business that I get completely, like, I feel like a pit bull.
Yeah.
Am I reaching the Jason, am I doing enough on LinkedIn? Am I saying it right? All these tiny little things. And this stillness has given me the opportunity to think, no, Andrea, calm the hell down. It's about the long term.
Right.
And that was something I think I was missing that I need to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just gave me a thought, kind of going back to what you guys do and how photographers bid on projects. I think this is something that, well, I'm not going to say that, but that's agency stuff. But I think when you are absolutely obsessed with being yourself, it removes all of the other bullshit. So like in my mind, if photographers think about the type of people that they want to work with, the type of work that they want to make, and the type of brands and agencies they want to make that with, and they are just themselves with going after that, I think you'll lose those questions and those second guesses of, is the creative director going to like this? Like, I think you remove that doubt because it's you know who you want to work with, you know what you bring to that, and then you just only focus on that, and you're no longer worried about whether or not you're saying the right thing, I don't know.
Yeah, it's creating from your heart and for yourself and not for that other person, because when you're creating to get that job, you're not creating for yourself, you're creating for
Right.
that job and that creative director.
Right.
Yeah, that makes me think of what you said about DMs on Instagram, but not being too salesy. Like, that's what you want. You want the real you want to connect to real human beings.
Yeah. Friendships.
Yeah. Amen. This is good. Okay, so we're out of time, but Jason and Hugh, I want to thank both of you and Emily this has been incredible. And it's such a gift that for me, helping to create this out of this time has been the gift that I get to invest myself. So thank you for partaking.
Looks like
in that.
Emily's coming back for a second.
Get out, get out.
She's connecting to audio.
That's crazy. We get more Emily time. Maybe that's an accident. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an accident.
Not happen. Bye. Hi and bye. So thank you both, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Hugh, you want to say any goodbye?
Yes, I want to say thank you, Jason. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Andrea, so much.
Oh wait, let me interrupt you.
Go
Then
ahead.
we're going to do Hugh and I are going to stay on the wrap up. So stay on here if you want to hear us talk about this.
Yeah,
okay,
and then
go on, Hugh.
I'll do my ending spiel then. All right.
All right.
Jason, thank you so much for coming. It was great to talk to you and great to hear you.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
All right.
It was great being here.
Okay.
Should I stay on or?
If you want to, we were just going to chat about the whole thing. You want to join us?
Oh, it's true. If you want me
and
to.
And if you need to go, you go.
I think I might need to go. Yeah.
You don't have to go.
Okay.
You're so invited.
I might need to go.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay. We're just going to talk about you behind your back, so you can go.
That's fine.
Yeah, it'll be good though.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Bye. Take care. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Hugh, are there any other questions out there that we can answer for anyone?
Let's see. There was one in the beginning.
I'm curious what people learned from today. I feel like I learned a lot.
I did too.
Yeah.
I think the overall message for me was being authenticity.
Yeah.
Especially now, I think with everyone's, it's good. It seems like it gets down to the heart. I mean, when he was talking about, creating artwork for that job, for that client, that for me personally, that's never really worked out. But when I create from my heart and I just create the work because I love creating it, it tends to find its right audience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more organic, more organic.
I would say even people who aren't up, like if you create something for a specific type of client, another type of client could see that
That's right.
and get out of it, even though that was not your intention.
That's right. All right.
Yeah. Um, I marketing is one of my most, of course, I always want to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, so Emily was saying about portfolio showings. I hear that a lot. Portfolio showings might be one of the best ways to market yourself. When that starts, I think it'll start happening again through Zoom and
Yeah.
Instagram. It was like portfolio showings and Instagram.
No, absolutely. I think the fact that, the more and more opportunities to do those portfolio reviews are out there. What a great thing that has happened in our industry, that possibility. And it's one-on-one time. You get to be as authentic as you can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's talking about, let's talk about your personality, or let me see, I want to see your personality. This is what an opportune time to do it, is in those portfolio reviews. So,
Yeah. I
and,
always, yeah.
and my thing is, when I'm coming in there with a project that I've shot on my own, or a personal project, or even one that I was commissioned, and I'm feeling that upbeatness of, I just can't wait to show this. I'm so excited about this project. That's going to resonate really well.
That's right.
It's always where it resonated for me. So.
That's right. It's giving they want to hear how excited you are. As Jason was saying, he's heard himself talk enough. He wants to hear from you and what you'd bring to this and how you'd collaborate. So if you're excited, that's what they want.
All right. And that's why I think the creative call is more important than the treatment, to be perfectly honest,
That was interesting.
Yeah.
How Emily said, yeah, if they even read it, wow, they probably, we're not readers mostly. We're visual.
No, that's true. And I kind of feel like after that creative call, that's when the decision has already been made sometimes,
Yeah,
Really, truly.
that creative call. I always, do you know that psychological relational therapy that you repeat back what the person just said in other
Mirroring,
words?
they call it.
Yes.
Mirroring, yes.
I think that is the best for creative calls.
Wow, that's a great little note. So
You hear
everyone
what
take note of that. That's a great
what's
one.
it called? Mirroring?
Mirroring, yes. So you repeat back what they just said, and so that they understand that you understand what they're talking about.
But in your own words.
Absolutely.
Not the words you just heard, but put them into your words.
Right. And then you put in, after that, you put in your take on that, or what you want to inject in there. Right. That's great.
And I always suggest to photographers, you take what you just heard emotionally, what they want to get out of this shoot, what the vibe of what they're trying to sell, the emotion of it. And then you repeat back that and how technically you're going to create that.
Mm-hmm.
With what lighting, with what location, with what angle. You're going to be the technician to their emotional vibe.
Yeah. And, the creative calls that I've had is, I give the art director the chance to talk about, I ask them, tell me more about this. They do their spiel like Jason was talking about. He doesn't want to talk much beyond that. Then it's from there that, that's when I try to provide my vision for that, how I see it unfolding. And then I detail it in the treatment if I go to that point, so, I think prep time before a creative call is super, super important. Do your homework, think about what you want to provide for them and how but make it authentic. Your approach needs to be authentic.
Yeah.
So,
God, we could have a whole thing on creative calls.
well, maybe that's a subject
Maybe
we should
that
look
is a
into that,
topic.
right? Yeah,
Oh,
really
okay. I guess we should wrap up. I could keep talking, but
good.
it's 1:21. Should we go?
Yeah, probably. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. Oh, and I'm going to make my spiel now. I just want to say thank you, Andrea and APA, for sponsoring this, and that, you know, APA is about community. We're here to advocate for you and provide you services. This is, to me, it's kind of like unionizing, but not. And we're here for everyone. I also want to thank Sammy's Camera, who supports us also. So, and thank you again, Andrea.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, APA, Patty, everybody. You're not alone. Join APA.
Yeah, that's
You're not
a smart
alone. You
idea.
don't have to do this alone.
Okay. Till 2 weeks, right?
Yes, 2 weeks.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.